biggest things I focus on is helping people to get back to a place of hope. Hope.
The morning show worth talking about. Faith at Work with Yvette Gavin. It's February, the month we celebrate love. We thought we'd bring back some of our highest rated episodes of our first season. Enjoy.
Hello, and welcome to Faith at Work. The Faith at Work television show is all about inspiring and empowering women of faith in the workplace so they can increase their kingdom influence in the marketplace. I am your host, Yvette Gavin. You, woman of God, you are the light of the world. I know that to be true about you, because that is what Jesus said in the Gospel of Matthew about you. He goes on to say in Matthew 5:14-16 this: a city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds, and praise your Father in heaven. Woman of faith, you are the light. You are the prosperity and the general well-being the world needs right now. And it is time for you to allow your brilliancy to shine and stop being the world's best kept secret. I have observed women of faith taking that back seat in their careers and in ministry, putting their light under a bowl, so to speak, all because they think it is the Christian thing to do, or it is, get this one, the ladylike thing to do. Come closer. Let me share something with you. God did not give you your talents and your gifts to put under a bed or a bowl or to hide it in a closet. Your gifts and talents are for the world. And as you allow your light, your gifts, your talents to illuminate, it brings glory, I know, to God. We see that in the scripture. It's time for you to stop hiding, and it's time for you to start shining. If you've been in hiding because you think you will lose your job or you will lose your friends, then it is time for you to change perhaps your work environment or even your circle of friends. Don't dummy yourself down and play small in order to just get along or to be liked by others. Trust me on this. It is not worth it. It is not worth disappointing God and being disobedient to God. He says, let your light shine. I believe when we don't use the talent and the gifts that God has blessed us with, that it is displeasing to Him. Decide today who you will serve. Woman of faith, I want you to decide right now, are you going to serve God or your job or your family or your friends? I pray you choose God and let your light shine. It's Leadership Handbag time. This segment is where I bring you a leadership tip or tool that you can apply to your career each week. Now, ladies, you know that we love our handbags just as much as we love our shoes. Whether it is a little modest handbag like this one, or if it is a more expensive handbag similar to this one. Regardless of the size or the price of the bag, our handbags carry what? Let me hear it. Yes, you got it. Our handbags carry our necessary tools. The necessary tool I have for you today is the book, Working While Black, A Woman's Guide to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret by Dr. Tana M. In her book, Dr. Sessions shares the journey of Black professional women in corporate America as they rose through the ranks against all odds and a system stacked against them. Through their stories and perspectives. Readers will develop strategies for career success and have a true call to action. Now, who couldn't use some career success tips? And remember, it's your time to shine. So this is a tool that can help make sure that you do not put your talent and gifts under a bowl or under a bed, but you put it on a light post so you can shine and illuminate the world. It is always a treat, guys, for me to have an opportunity to hold a conversation with an author. So I have a treat for you today, because after this break, we will be talking to Dr. Tana M, author of Working While Black, A Woman's Guide to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. So don't you go anywhere. I'll see you after this break.
So, what are people really saying about Yvette Gavin Consulting?
Yvette has been outstanding. It's great to have you. I've enjoyed, the quality of your work. I can tell you serve your clients well.
Training, coaching, leadership program development, keynote speaker.
I decided to no longer look at those little disappointing situations or the setbacks as setbacks, but I began to realize that everything, good and bad, positive and negative, had a message for me.
To find out more about Yvette Gavin Consulting or to book Yvette for your next event, please call us at 424-262-2462. You can email us at yvette@yvettegavin.com, and you can also visit our website at yvettegavin.com.
If I wanted to help my colleagues, I'd call up Yvette Gavin.
The perfect way to start your day. Family, traffic, meetings, family. All can be stressors in our everyday lives, but spending a few minutes with God can prepare you to take on the world. The Faith at Work devotional is a perfect vehicle to do just that by helping you center on what's most important, your relationship with God. And now, for your donation of any amount, you'll receive a copy of the Faith at Work devotional. Just visit our website at www.faithatwork.tv.
Welcome back, everyone. We are here now on set, and I am so excited to introduce to you Dr. Tana M. Dr. Session is the CEO and founder of TanaMsession.com, a certified woman minority business enterprise with over 20 years of human resources experience. Dr. Session is the official LinkedIn learning expert for diversity and inclusion in recruiting and interviewing. And she was also recognized, check this out, by Forbes as a top diversity and inclusion business leader. Please help me welcome to the show, Dr. Tana M. Welcome, Tana. I have been looking forward to this conversation with you all week. I really have. I am so excited about your new book. So will you just share with us a brief summary about what the book is all about?
Sure. So Working While Black, A Woman's Guide to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret is really a strategic tool for all women, but it's focused under the voice of Black women, but for all women to really figure out what does it take to really lean into your true power, understand how to navigate in systems that weren't necessarily built for our success, and then what does it look like on the other side of that success? So how do you reach back to bring others along? So there's strategies in there as well as real life stories from myself and other women.
Awesome. So Tana, I know in the book you talk a little bit about African American women being left behind in corporate America. Let's talk a little bit about that. So why do you think that is a truth?
Well, we can start by talking about numbers, right? Because what measures gets, what matters rather gets measured. So I think from this perspective, when we talk about Black women only making 67 cents on the dollar to, white men in corporate America, it takes us until August of the following year to match what they made the year prior. So 8 months into the year, it will take for us to really continue to do what we do before we equalize in pay. And then when you think about the fact that we don't necessarily are the ones that are identified for sponsors or mentors, the perception is that we have to put in the effort, and some people feel that it's best to kind of keep your head down, do the work, and they'll recognize you. But that doesn't work necessarily for us. We really have to be strategic. We really have to be proactive and manage our own careers. And we also have to walk a tightrope around that, right? Because we don't want to seem aggressive. We don't want to seem too pushy. We don't want to seem too dominant even. So it's so many different things that comes into play when you think about Black women in corporate America trying to, climb that ladder, even though it's not a ladder, but really get to a point of acceptance and a point of credibility for the work that they do.
Yeah. So do you advocate that women ask someone to be their mentor or sponsor?
I do. I think it's important because, and of course it should be an organic relationship, but it's important to take the first step, especially if you see someone that you think can really help open doors for you or introduce you to others that can help open those doors perhaps. If they're maybe in a role or a position or even an industry that you're interested in, start building a relationship with them early on. So I tell people, because people come to me all the time and ask that question, like, will you be my mentor? And I said, okay, can we build a relationship first? And then it'll happen organically. I'll see something in you where I want to pour into you. I want to help and guide you. So I think it is important to identify who those individuals are. I call them your board of directors. I think we all need to have mentors, sponsors, coaches, and then, those little secret advisors that can tell us like all the little secrets within the company. These are the landmines you need to avoid. Here's a relationship that you don't know about. So you have those advisors to help you as well.
Yeah, very important. I can honestly say for myself in corporate, I don't think I would have ever made it to the level of an IT director if I had not had the mentors and the sponsor that I had.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. So what would you say to a leader who says there's just not enough qualified women and definitely not enough qualified Black women?
Well, first and foremost, Black women are the most highly educated group in the workforce right now. So that stops that rumor. And then I would say that's a bias that they need to move past. So oftentimes these talented women are right in their organizations, hiding in plain sight, but for whatever reason, they don't see them as leaders. It could be perception. It could be their bias. It could be stereotypes. It could be multiple things that are stopping them from looking at them through that lens. Now, I think now they're looking internally, a lot of these leaders, and they're saying, okay, let's look to see where the talent is internally before we look to, bring in fresh recruits to see where the talent is in here. Because I tell leaders when I coach them, I said, you hired them for a reason, and for whatever reason, they're stuck at that middle level. They can't get past that middle level, but you still see value in them because they're still here. So perhaps it is about giving them a mentor or a sponsor or some professional development to close whatever gaps you perceive they have. Or it's just a matter of having a conversation with them to find out what are their goals and what do they want to do in their career, and see if there's a space within your organization to put them there.
Yeah. Very good. I love all of those recommendations. So when you had mentioned earlier about the inequality that we see in the pay, there's huge pay gaps. Do you think that it's going to take like federal laws or state laws to get to that place of equality, or do you see it being taken care of without the government having to be involved?
Well, I think organizations have the first responsibility for that, especially, public companies. Because ultimately they set their pay rates and their pay scales, and they are supposed to look internally to make sure that people are being paid equitable for the same positions, same work. So it starts there. Now, when I think about countries that are doing it well, Iceland is top of the list because they have equalized pay across the entire country. Now, it's a smaller country than the US, granted, but they made the effort. They made the promise to do it, and then they put in the work to do it. So organizations can do it one company at a time, whether you're a small to large, Fortune 500, Fortune 5,000 company, you can do it if you really make the commitment. Now, it may take time. I tell companies when I talk to them, no one is expecting you to increase everyone's pay by $10,000. That won't be sustainable. But you should have some sort of step pattern to get them there, whether it's over 2 years. Maybe it includes a bonus to help close that gap.
Oh, I love that. And I love the fact, I didn't know that about Iceland. So that's a place that people could go and maybe model, if you will. Yeah, or do some type of benchmarking. So one of the things I mentioned.
Taught by a woman, by the way.
See, hey, like that. Awesome. So one of the things, I've been talking to women of faith about is that unfortunate, many of us grew up like in spiritual environments where we were taught that it wasn't Christian-like, you know what I mean? To really let your light shine and let people know what you bring to the table. And then there are others of us, it wasn't even about their spirituality, it was about more the home culture where you were told it's not ladylike, to talk about what you bring to the table. So will you address that for our audience? Like, why is it important not to be the best kept secret?
Right, it's hugely important. Yeah, when I was little, I was told the same thing, be seen, not heard, right? Or sit there and be pretty. And so I grew up with those too, and I had to peel those layers off of me. So a lot of it, I think, is generational, and I tell people stuff like that is not your fault, but it's your problem, because you have to be able to move past it. And you have to learn how to stand in your power, stand in your truth, your healing, your worth, and ultimately your destiny. And you won't do that if you're carrying that baggage of other generations with you. So we're dealing with a new generation of women, the Gen Y and Gen Z. They don't believe in that at all, which is great, because I take credit for that, because I'm a parent of a millennial, even though it's a boy. But when I think about how we raised them, we started peeling some of those things away for the next generation. So that generation right now is 50% of the workforce. Do they have problems with really standing in their power? In some ways, but they also know how to question authority. They ask the questions for, why is it this way? Why does it have to be this way? And they have no problem raising their hand to say, I want a raise, I want a promotion, I want that opportunity. But yeah, Gen X, my generation, I think we still struggle with that in some ways. And even the boomers as well, even though some of them are starting to retire, because we still have that little hesitancy to really pat ourselves on the back, talk about our accomplishments. And actually, Yvette, I used to be the same way, because I remember when I started speaking and training and people would read my bio, I would be embarrassed by it, even though I wrote it. And I'm like, I know everything on here is true, but I felt like I'm supposed to be more humble. But then I said, but how can I help others if I'm hiding the value I bring to the table, or the experiences, or as some people say, the receipts that I bring to the table? And once I started leaning into that, I realized it was nothing for me to be humble or embarrassed about, because it was also inspirational for others to achieve that in their life and be able to see themselves in me. So I think that's what we have to start thinking about.
Oh, I love everything you just said. So powerful. I mean, even starting with when you said it's not your fault, but it is your problem. And knowing that you can solve that problem.
You can solve it.
Yeah, it's just a shift in the mindset. And it's also very biblical too, right? We're clearly told to let our light shine so it can be there for others, just as you just said. Yeah. So we're going to take a break, a very short break, but when we come back, I want you to share with us, if you will, what does it really mean to own your power, to own your healing? Because I'm so fascinated by these three things that you bring out in your book. We'll be right back, guys. Don't you go anywhere. And when we return, Tana Session will continue this conversation and share with you how you can own your power and your healing and others.
The perfect way to start your day. Family, traffic, meetings, family. All can be stressors in our everyday lives, but spending a few minutes with God can prepare you to take on the world. The Faith at Work devotional is a perfect vehicle to do just that by helping you center on what's most important, your relationship with God. And now, for your donation of any amount, you'll receive a copy of the Faith at Work devotional. Just visit our website at www.faithatwork.tv.
Hi, I'm Yvette Gavin, host of Faith at Work on the PTWWN TV Global Network. Join me Monday mornings at 5:30 a.m. Executive presence has nothing to do with skill and talent. Executive presence is a measure of image. welcome back, everyone. Right before that short break, I asked Dr. Session to share with us what does it really mean to own our power, to own our destiny, to own our healing. So she's going to share these gold nuggets with us right now. So come a little closer to the TV because you're not going to want to miss this. All right, Dr. Session, how do I own my power?
So I tell people stop being the best kept secret. There are 5 components to that. So it starts with owning your power, your truth, your healing, your worth, and ultimately your destiny. So I want to talk to you about owning your power because I think that's really the foundation for learning how to stop being the best kept secret. So when I talk to people about owning their power, I tell them that first and foremost, it starts off with forgiveness of yourself. You have to really take a view of your life, the decisions that you made, and figure out which of those are you still holding yourself captive to, and how do you move past that? Because that's going to be so important for your growth and ultimately to stop being that best kept secret, which is what it takes to own your power. And then the next piece of that is learning how to forgive others. So I tell people, don't expect an apology, and you have to be willing to forgive people who never asked for one. So that holds a lot of people back. I call it the black space in your heart. And when you're holding that black space in your heart, it actually blocks blessings from flowing through. And I had to learn how to do that. It was not easy. When I think about decisions my parents made and how I held things against them, I had to let that go. And once I did, that was for me. It wasn't for them. And then you have to give yourself permission to succeed, because oftentimes we don't think we're supposed to succeed. We put these imitation barriers or guardrails around what success means to us, or we don't ever envision ourselves. We think that's too big, that's too scary, that's too far down the road. But the more you allow yourself to actually give into your own permission to succeed, the more opportunities will happen, oftentimes without you even realizing that they're on their way. And then I tell people you have to learn how to use your adversity as fuel and not excuses.
Amen.
So much like forgiving yourself and forgiving others, you have to understand that some things, as I said, were not your fault, but they're your problem. And that's where it starts to really understand how these adversities have held you back. Maybe you've used them as your ceiling. I tell people to use them as your floor. Stand on those as building blocks. And then ultimately, don't compare your story to someone else, because comparison, as you know, is the thief of joy.
Yes, that was so powerful. I mean, honestly, I probably will listen to this over and over again because it resonated with me. The whole thing about forgiving, first yourself and others. I think about, from your childhood, even things that happen to us like on our jobs, and even within our churches. Let's keep it real, right? There's this thing called church hurt as well. But learning to forgive yourself and others, powerful. Y'all got that, right? I want you to go back and take notes if you did not. Rewind this tape and write these things down and begin to start owning your power. It's just beautiful. So, Dr. Session, we talk about faith, of course, as you know, on this show. So will you share with us perhaps a time where you've had to put your own faith to work in a situation, whether it's, personal or in the workplace?
Yeah, I was actually on an interview this morning with a group of people in this program that are new entrepreneurs or wanting to become one. And, I shared with them what my toughest year in my business was like, which was in 2018. And I started my entrepreneurial journey in 2014, 2015, thereabouts. And in 2018, things just really slowed down for me, Yvette, to the point where I didn't see this being a success for myself. And I really thought about going back to work. As a matter of fact, on LinkedIn, you can change your profile from not looking to I'm open to opportunities. Well, I've clicked that button after so many years. And, opportunities started coming through, of course. And I entertained a couple and went through interviews, and I was offered a position. And I remember sitting here looking at the paperwork, and I shared it with someone else. And I said, hey, look at this. They offered me stock options. What do you think? And at the end of the day, my husband's like, I just don't want you to be miserable. He said, I feel like this is going to be temporary. You're going to get in there, and in a year, you're going to want to leave. And all the work that you've done, everything you've done up to this point, you have to start all over again because, you're out of sight, out of mind, especially in this industry. And so I had to really think about that. And even though we didn't know how the bills were going to be paid, and I was using credit cards to do things that I was like, okay, I got 30 days before this is due. Maybe I can close a client by then. And I was scared, to be quite honest. And at the end of the day, I remember it was in August of 2018. Someone reached out to me on LinkedIn that I had met 4 years ago at a networking event for HR professionals. And she said, hey, I don't know if you're interested, but we fired our VP of HR and we're looking to bring in a consultant to help lead HR for 6 to 12 months. You know, I remember meeting you and have been following you, and I want to know if you're interested. And I was like, wow, I don't even remember this person. I really didn't. And so I met with her, and then I met with the CEO and the COO over lunch. And at the end of the day, by the time I drove back home, they had offered me the position. And that position, that one right there, was that fork in the road, because I could have gone to the left and took the job that was sitting on my desk. I made them wait 5 days before I got back to them, because I was just like, I don't know, I'm not sure, but the money looks good and it could really help us right now. But I was also wondering what was around that curve, you know, for that other part of the fork in the road. And I'm glad I continued to bet on myself and continue to pray about it and continue to work on it. And then just, you know, like I told you, I let the universe respond, and it did by giving me that offer and unsolicited opportunity. And I'm still working with that client today.
Awesome. Well, this has been such a rich time for me. And I want to make sure people know how to stay connected with you. And I want people to understand where they can go and buy your latest book, because I think it's a must read for everyone. So share with us how people can purchase the book and how they can stay connected with you.
Sure. So they can go to my website, which is tanamsession.com. And there's a pop-up there where they can pre-order the book, Working While Black, A Woman's Guide to Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. So it's available for pre-sale for $30 on there. And I'm just waiting for the publisher to confirm the release date. But believe me, once you purchase it, you will get your signed autographed copy directly from me. And they can keep up with me on all social media platforms. I'm really active on LinkedIn, but I'm on all platforms at Dr. Tana M Session. Across the board is how they can find me.
Thank you so much, Tana. It's been such a pleasure having you here on the show. Well, guys, you heard it. I want you to go right now to TanaMSession.com website and put in your pre-order right now for her book. I guarantee you this book will be a blessing to you. And as she said, you will get an autographed copy if you order right now in the pre-sale phase. Well, I am your host, Yvette Gavin, here today with Dr. Tana Session, reminding you that faith without works is dead.